Hello. Actually, this is a WSN, an IoT channel, but the topic which I go now is a little bit different since I'm going into Scrum, which is a project management framework. And why I'm going there first, we need it a lot of times for project when the students making project and I teach them, they are using mostly the Scrum framework for this. So it's quite important to have this knowledge. And also for myself, I want to go a little bit deeper inside, and I have the plan to pass the PSM I certificate from the Scrum.org. Yeah, I want to finish it in around 5 days. It's a certificate where you're showing that you know the basics about Scrum, and I want to explain you how you can proceed, and let's see at the end if I'm successful. You will see when the video is published. And how I want to fulfill this. First, of course, I know already a lot about project management at all, since I'm making it with students, teaching and so on. I know the most framework and what makes successful a project normally. But to knowing how Scrum works is, of course, again a little bit different. And when you want to become a Scrum Master, it's good to making also this kind of certificate. So since I don't want to program anymore like 8 hours behind computer when I work later, for me it's maybe one way to go, making project management, and there you should have the knowledge for Scrum. And of course, you should have the basic knowledge about Scrum. You can watch a few YouTube videos for the basic knowledge. Don't go too much into details when you want to pass PSM about project management at all, because the questions for the PSM will be directly focused on the Scrum Guide, which is a paper. It has around 10 pages, and you can download it freely. And you have to read it at least, I think, 4 or 5 times. Maybe it's the first time in your mother language and then in the English language. The PSM I test is 80 questions, 1 hour, and costs $150, and you can make it online. So let's see if I can fulfill the task, and I will say how I do the progress. When you're seeing maybe at the back my whiteboard, I write already the most important keywords down and try to understand it really so that I can later answer the questions. Now I give you a short introduction into Scrum, how it's written in the Scrum Guide, so that you understand a little bit the concept and the philosophy. The traditional project management is a phase-based approach. You're having something like analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. Yeah, can be different phases, of course. But you are planning the project at the beginning. Yeah, you make a detailed project scope and making a schedule and a project plan. And yeah, you hold on this and really don't change. Not often something there. It has rigid hierarchies, so clear roles like the project manager and team member and stakeholders. They have all different kind of responsibilities and ranking and power. It has a long delivery cycle, so you get it at the end. You don't see something in between normally. So risk management, you have to identify all the risks up front, yeah, and have to attempt to minimize them in advance. Scrum goes there a different way. It's an iterative incremental approach. Yeah, it's carried out in sprints, so you're getting always, which is called like an increment, which is something which you can present already your stakeholder. Yeah, it's a working solution already, but not with all the project goals and tasks which should be inside, but the stakeholder can see something. It's flexible and adaptability is big, so changes can be implemented during a sprint. It's the team itself, the Scrum team, it's self-organized, so there is no hierarchy. So the teams should be treated, the team members, equal and have all the same power. This, of course, a few things like the product owner can at the end is accountable for the product backlog. So he decides at the end what's standing inside, but he listens to the Scrum team. It's not that he has a special power or something. The incremental delivery, so we get after each sprint result, an increment it's called, and so we're getting like a milestone, we're getting always something in progress. The risk management is continuously identified, so we see always we're learning something, so through empirism, something new and seeing new risks, and they can then be addressed. Here's a good overview about Scrum. We're having here 3 roles. I go to them in a moment. We're having here the product owner as a Scrum Master. And when the project starting, the product owner is responsible to identify, not to identify all the tasks which have to be done, but to write them down in a sprint backlog. Not in the sprint backlog, in the product backlog at the beginning. He will still discuss this with all the Scrum team members, and they can also recommend to put something in the product backlog, and also to help to refine the task to make them smaller or more clear and so on. So all helping them, but the product owner is responsible for the product backlog. The Scrum Master is a little bit like let's say a mentor. He knows the rules from Scrum and he explains it, and he checks that everybody are holding on this kind of rules which are in the Scrum guides, that it's become a successful project at the end. It's not that he decides there's something. He's like a mentor. When there are conflicts, he helping to resolve them and so on. He checking that also meetings, the events are held and so on. Then we're having something which is a heartbeat of Scrum. It's a sprint. So when you're having a project, so we're starting at the beginning, we're making a product backlog, so the task which has all to be implemented. Then the Scrum team meets to making a sprint backlog, where we define a few tasks and also a goal for this sprint, what should happen. And this will be done in the planning. Then the developers will implement the task. We're having something which is called a daily Scrum meeting, which is only 50 minutes, where everybody presents what they have done so far and what's the plan for the next day. So it's really only short. It's just to bring transparency in the process and seeing that it's going forward and if someone needs help or something like this. Then at the end from a Scrum we're having a review. This is a presentation of increments. This means a solution, a part solution to the stakeholders or to the person which are involved in the product, and they give you then feedback and so on. So you're not only giving a presentation, you also get feedback. There's the product owner normally is the interface between the stakeholder and the Scrum team. Then at the end we're having something which is called a retrospective. So the Scrum team itself, the Scrum owner don't have to be part on it. The developer and the Scrum Master, they are checking how was the last sprint and what can be improved and so on, and bringing the results to the next planning. here's something which is called definition of done. An increment or a sprint have to fulfill the definition of done. So these are rules like, let's say that it has go through a testing phase and have to pass it and so on, and only if the definition of done is completed, then an increment is really finished. Yeah. The product owner. The product owner is accountable for the product backlog. In the product backlog, there is the goal from the what have to be produced, the overall goal, and then the items, the tasks which have to be done. At the beginning, it don't have to be 100% clear or detailed. It can be more detailed later. So the product owner is then also responsible to making these items clear and refine them, even that you can fulfill them in one sprint. Then the product owner has to ensure that the product backlog is transparent, visible, and understood from all the Scrum team members. So everybody has access to it and understand what the tasks are and what is also the goal from the product which we are producing, if it's software or whatever. He's the interface between the stakeholder and the Scrum team, and he's the only one who can abort a sprint, but this should really rarely happen. This is when the sprint goal is not valid anymore because something changed, or we cannot solve the solution or something, he can abort the sprint. But this should really, the last option normally. If there's a problem, you should still think to hold on the sprint goal and redefine maybe the task which you're making in the sprint and so on. Then the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master serves the Scrum team. He's not a boss or something. He has his hierarchical at the same level. So, but he ensures that everyone understands Scrum and follows the rules. He's kind of a mentor. He helping conflicts, resolving conflicts, and he removes impediments to the Scrum team's progress. So he checks that everything can follow the Scrum framework. The developers creating the values, they are producing the product at the end. They're creating a plan for the sprint and a sprint backlog. In the sprint backlog, there are the tasks from the product backlog which they have to fulfill in their actual sprint. Also, they're adapting their plan each day to the sprint goal with a daily Scrum meeting, and they're checking that they're holding on the definition of done. Scrum has 3 pillars why it's working so good, actually. This is like the philosophy, and actually when the other project models also holding a little bit more on this, then they would mostly also more success. But in Scrum, this is really like, if you're not holding on this, you're not holding on the Scrum guide. One is, the first pillar is transparency. This means everyone should understand what's to do. It should be available for everybody and should be written down or something clear, so that you're seeing what's happening. So that also not a team member or something can just hide, not doing something, or when he has problems, you'll find it out at the end, so you will see it. So this is a transparency. Then you're having the inspection. This can only happen when you are making your things transparency. Yeah? Without transparency, you cannot make any inspection. So you're checking everything. What is the status? How it's going forward, and then you're making adaption. This means it makes no sense to making inspection without adaption. Yeah, this is a philosophy. So then you're checking afterwards what can you do to improve it or adjust something. Scrum has also 5 values. So this was the 3 pillars and also 5 values. The first value is commitment. So commitment for each team member to reach the goal from the project and support each other. And also the stakeholder actually should commit. Yeah? If not, if they don't give you the power, if they're against, this will also not work. Then the second value is focus. The Scrum team has to focus on the work and create progress. Then openness. This means open to the work, what's to do, and also taking and also to the challenge. Yeah. Respect. This should be actually in all projects. That is quite important. But this means that really you think your teammates are the same value like you. That they're able to fulfill their task, yeah, and not, oh, he cannot, and so on. You have to respect each other and also to see everyone as equal. Then courage. This means sometimes you have to do things which are needing a little bit courage, so to do the right things and also to work on tough problems, not I don't want to make this task, it's too difficult for me, and so on. If not, you will not have progress, or someone are not there to make any tasks or something. Then there's something in the Scrum Guide which is called Artefact. Yeah? Artefact is a viewable result from the Scrum process, and we're having there 3 artifacts. This is a product backlog, yeah, and then the sprint backlog and an increment. So product backlog contains a product goal and the task, yeah, which have to be done. The sprint backlog is done before every sprint. Yeah. It contains the same. It contains a sprint goal and also tasks which have to be done, which are taken from the product backlog. In the product backlog, the product owner actually is also responsible that the tasks are ordered in one way, which are having more priority and so on. And then we're having at the end the increment, which is another viewable thing. This is a result which you can present to the stakeholder, which can be already used or and fulfills the definition of done. In Scrum, we're having 5 events altogether. Yeah? The sprint itself is an event. It's around 2 until 4 weeks. When you're making a sprint, you should not change the time period. It should be then for your project always 2 weeks or always 3 weeks or always 4 weeks. Yeah? But you can adjust. At the moment, mostly they're making 2 weeks when you say planning a project with the Scrum framework. Then you're having the sprint planning, which means at the beginning making a sprint backlog, what to do and how to do it. Yeah, depends on whether you're having 4 weeks sprint. It's taking maybe around 4 hours to find out what we can take from the product backlog, what tasks, what should be the sprint goal, this sprint, and taking out the tasks from the product backlog, and also what and how to realize. Then we're having every day the daily Scrum. It's only 50 minutes. It's discuss the progress and the plan for the next day. Then we're having the sprint review. This is a presentation of your increment, which the Scrum team finish at the end of the Scrum period, and then also, which is important, it's not only presenting, it's to getting also feedback. What can be improved, what is missing, and so on, what is okay and what not. And then at the end of the sprint review, then there's following the sprint retrospective. Yeah. It's reflecting about the last sprint and searching for improvements. Now we can take a look again as the overview. You will understand it maybe now a little bit better. So you're making the product backlog. It's not at the beginning, then finish. It will be refined. Yeah. So, but you need one at the starting. It can be not so detailed at the starting, and over the process, over the project, it can be refined always a little bit more. Then you're starting with the planning and making a sprint backlog, then the implementation, the review, and the retrospective. The Scrum Master who controls that everyone follows the framework, and if not, he will explain or mention it and so on. And the developer. So these are the basics from Scrum and also the basic philosophy and so on. You have to know all the expressions, and you really have to read the Scrum guide multiple times, maybe 4 or 5 times. Yeah, the Scrum guide you get at scrum.org. Go on resources, there you find the guides. Then go on the Scrum guide, download the Scrum guide, and download for sure the English version. You can also first look in your mother language, but for the PSM and also for the communication later, you need the English expressions from the Scrum guide. Yeah, that's the keywords and so on. So download the English version. And when you read it multiple times, so 4 or 5 times, and you understand everything and have it inside, when you want to pass the PSM, for sure you have to check also a few examples, questions. There are videos, I will put it in the description, because you have only 60 minutes for 80 questions. It's not that you maybe don't understand, but you can fail because of the time which is running. So you have to fast answer and read the questions carefully. So I did it. I passed the Professional Scrum Master I certificate, the exam there. And it's not really difficult, but you really have to learn in front. Yeah? And the test itself is quite exhausting because you have 1 hour for 80 questions and you have to concentrate on them. Yeah? To prepare, really read the Scrum guide multiple times, 5 or 6 times at least, write down a few path phrases, and you need to know the terminology from it. There are also a lot of YouTube videos with example questions. You should prepare yourself with them. And also, when you're going at scrum.org, there is an assessment which you can, as example, which you can make. So first you create your account at scrum.org, then you're going and get certified, going on the Professional Scrum Master I, and you can buy here. You have to pay with credit card or with PayPal or whatever. You need 85% to pass. I had 3 questions wrong, so from 80 questions I had still a lot of space, so it was quite okay, 96% I think. Then when you bought the voucher, you're getting via email a passcode, which you have then to when you're going on start, which you have to insert there. You have to confirm that you're holding on the rules and to add the password which you get via email. And then you start, and your 60 minutes will start directly. You can also, there is a plugin for Google Chrome for translation from the website. I would not recommend this, I think. You can still look at Google Translate if you are missing one word or something, but it takes really time because you cannot copy, you have to enter it by yourself, and 60 minutes are going quite fast over. You can still also prepare a little bit with the example test from scrum.org, going here on Scrum Open Assessment, and there you have, I think, so 20 minutes for 30 questions. Yeah, you can start the assignment, and it's really 30 questions in 30 minutes. But they're easier for me than the real exam. Yeah? So really prepare yourself. If not, you have to repeat it maybe because you are not passing the exam. So I hope you got also information, and if you want to make the PSM, I wish you good luck or better good preparation, and see you in the next video.